The doctor is in. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, Ricky.
Hi.
So the
Hello,
doctor
good
really
evening.
isn't in, but she's in spirit. So Dr. Mo had a little family emergency. So, her day job is to save lives. She had to go save a life. So she's not here, but look at what I have here. Oh my goodness. This is like a dream of beauties all around me. It's so lovely to have you guys. So today we are going to talk about dating, dating while surviving, dating while thriving, dating while in treatment, dating whatever. So I have all these lovely beauties, all of my friends. So you guys, let's do introductions and then let's start talking some stuff because I know you got some great stories for me. And it's something that everybody's dealing with, and it's funny because even if you're in a couple or in a marriage, you're still dating, right? It's all about relationships and getting along with people and getting used to the fake boobs or whatever you got, or the no boobs or whatever you got, and like these crazy bodies that we all are trying to deal with and our bald heads and all the stuff. So Jasmine, go first. Who are you?
I was on mute. So my name is Jasmine Sowers. I am a young breast cancer survivor, diagnosed at 26, misdiagnosed at 25. That was a couple of years into my marriage. I got divorced about 4 years after active treatment. So I'm back out into the wilderness. And to that point, I'm in the wilderness with a full-time job in digital marketing and also a new nonprofit in the breast cancer space, the Missy Pink Breast Cancer Alliance.
Cool. Is it the wilderness? Okay, we'll get there in a minute. I like that word. Let's get there. All right, Trish.
Well, is it the wilderness or is it the wild, wild west? We can get into
That's what
that.
I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Because sometimes it's one and sometimes it's the other. My name is Trish Michelle. I am a 6-year no evidence of disease breast cancer survivor. Let's see, I'm currently the chief of community at the Breasties, and I was single going into treatment, but I had big plans, and cancer got in the way. So I had to rethink everything, and I'm starting fresh, but I know what I want more than ever. So I'm excited to talk about dating and do's and don'ts and won't allows. So I'm happy to be here.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Sensational Sin.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Cynthia Sensational Washington. I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor, the first time in 2008 with DCIS, and the second time in 2016 with triple negative breast cancer stage 2A. I was married for 40 years, and I decided to get divorced because my love cup was empty. And I'm like, I'm 60 some years old, and I need to have my love cup filled, before time runs out. So I decided
overflowing, more than filled, right? Overflowing.
Yes, overflowing, at least
Right.
filled, but overflowing
Right.
would be great with the right person. That's the whole challenge out here in the wild, wild west, or the wilderness, or uptown, whatever. Across international waters, it is a journey, believe me. So I am also looking for a monogamous relationship that could lead to marriage. It doesn't have to lead to marriage, but I am ready to discuss some of these online situations.
Hot topics, right?
Hot topics.
Dr. Corday. We do have a doctor in the house. Thank God for that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This has been girl. That's the only word I could give you is child and girl, because I identify with everyone. So lovely to meet everyone. My name is Dr. Corday Decoto. I'm a board certified podiatrist working for a federally qualified health center, Neighborhood Health in Plainfield and Elizabeth, New Jersey. I also do surgery. And in addition to that, I realized that I was afforded certain privileges that the average woman, let alone woman of color, was not afforded, and therefore started my advocacy, Talks with Dr. D, which is all things breast cancer, health, wellness, and beauty. I've had the opportunity to speak on various platforms, from Lovely Touch to the United Nations to D9 organizations. So with dating, I definitely, I dated, met somebody immediately after my treatment. I was diagnosed 2019 in December and started dating in the summer, which didn't really work because of radiation and COVID. And then I met someone in 220, then broke up, met somebody else, and then broke up. But that's life, that's dating, you know? And so I think it's been an interesting road that I'm sure each of us have something great to share.
Cool. And my little hot mama over here, Deltra, she's got some stories because I've heard some of them, but I want some details.
Hey, everybody. I'm Deltra, and I am a 30, I had to think about it, 37-year-old single mama of 5 beautiful, amazing girls. I was diagnosed in 2019, and I was metastatic straight out the gate, so no recurrence. And at that time, I had been married for a decade, quite unhappily, and was thinking about trying to figure out leaving, which everyone, would know how difficult that is when you have children involved. And in my case, my children had been my job throughout the marriage. And when the diagnosis hit, it, made me rethink leaving. So I tried to stay, but I always say, I found out pretty quickly what you often get told, that if your foundation is already got cracks in it, things usually crumble when cancer gets involved. And that was the case about 3 months after my diagnosis. And so I left my marriage, and pandemic hit. I'm now divorced for almost 2 years, and I dove into the dating scene. I figured out that I was pansexual and polyamorous, but now, surprised, because life just throws surprises my way all the time, I'm actually super happily in another monogamous relationship. So
Cool. So I want to hear all the stories all in between to get there too, So, I could tell my little story, but I don't want to talk too much. But I was married for 30 years, and I got divorced from cancer. It freed me from a not so great marriage, and I hit the dating scene, and it was pretty interesting. And I got engaged last September, so kind of ended it. But it was a wild ride in the wilderness. It was definitely the wilderness. So let's go. Who wants to go first and tell a story? Jasmine, you're off mute. You go first. Tell us. I don't know. How do you want to talk about this? You guys, tell me how to talk about this.
Well, first, I think there are a couple of things that I've heard already from those of us who got cancer and then got divorced after cancer. I do think like Deltra, I said the same thing when I got divorced. And I actually didn't realize until after you announced your divorce that we were kind of going through things around the same time. So this idea that if it already has cracks in it, like for some people, like they go through cancer and it just brings them together. And so like when you see it's possible for other people, you're like, oh, I hope that's it. But then for those of us that probably shouldn't have been together in the beginning, it just really makes everything crumble. So similar to your story, Ricky, I married my high school sweetheart. So dating really has been the wilderness because I didn't have to date as an adult. And now all of a sudden I'm having to date as an adult. But I think to Trisha's point, this idea of like, I've never known myself until this season of life. And I've never been so clear on what I need and what I want until I got to this place.
Yeah. So true. So true. And it's so funny how everybody says, well, what's your new normal? How are you feeling about your new normal? I don't know that I ever had a normal before. Right. And now like it's sort of finding this whole new life that we have after cancer that I don't know if I'd call it new. I don't know. I don't like those words, new normal, because it's like just finding who you are. Right.
I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we're all
It's so interesting. It's so like I'm finding, I just earlier today had a conversation with someone, and inevitably she's a survivor as well. And we were talking about dating. I said I was going to be participating in this and wondering what I was going to talk about, because there are some moments I'm living in two worlds. I'm living in a world in which I say to myself, I know what I want. I know what I won't tolerate. Sure, I would love companionship, right? Who wouldn't, to enjoy the happier moments and someone to support you in the sadder moments? But my tolerance for foolishness is just,
Hello.
I can't.
Hello. Can't
So,
do it.
but you've gone through something like this and you're like, oh my God, the fear of will I die alone is so clear. However, I sleep so soundly at night knowing that there's not this trash person bringing tears to my eyes. And so I grapple with the loneliness and feeling like, oh no, desperation to find someone. But then also, I'm okay with my Captain Crunch and my Law and Order SVUs. Like, you know what I mean?
And
It's
my
not
dog.
someone, it's not someone lying to you. I mean, I don't know if I have the tolerance for that kind of like trial and error of dating, because we've all realized we don't have time to lose. So I don't know if I can do dating for sport. I don't necessarily want maybe right away, happily ever after, but I can't do the roller coaster. I got enough on my plate. I'm up all night Googling symptoms. You think I got time to worry about a return call from some dude that hasn't texted me in 2 days? I'm stuck in a rut, y'all. I don't know.
I hear you though, like I have no tolerance. I have no tolerance. Like there are things, and then you think about it, you're in this marriage, and so you kind of put up with stuff because you're married, right? Or because you have to. I don't put
Yeah.
up with anything. I mean, I don't like, and maybe that's why it's called dating, and there's multiple things happening in the dating thing, because when one thing that pisses me off happens, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry, see you, bye, love you, gotta go. Like I have
Right.
no patience, no tolerance for to work. Who wants to do any work, right?
And what, is it a thing or is it just me that guys want to ask me for money? What is that?
Oh, no,
I'm
that-
like, that's immediately, I don't understand why,
Immediately.
what is it with
Immediately.
guys asking for money or asking for loans or,
no, no.
especially at my age, why are they
Are these
asking?
sugar babies sin? Are these sugar
Huh?
babies?
Right.
No, no,
Oh my God.
no. One was a little young guy. And I said, why are you interested in me? I want up to be your mama. I thought when I told you I was a grandmama, you'd be gone. But yeah, that was immediate because I had learned that when I thought I was in love with somebody, loaning them money and them paying me back in little small increments and that kind of thing. And never really paid me back totally what I had given them. But ever since then, it was like, as soon as somebody asked me for money, I was in a relationship just over a year with a guy who we were doing long distance. He was flying back and forth to see me. And in November, he asked me, was I going to pay for him to come back or was I going to pay for our New Year's? And I was like, huh?
What?
What? So, that was the end of that. That was over, I had been in that relationship over a year. He was coming here. And, I just can't do it. Anything when a guy asks me for money, I was married 40 years. My husband never asked me for money. So I'm like, why do you think that I'm going to be loaning or whatever? I made that mistake one time. I don't need to make it twice.
No. Well, I was a breadwinner in my family, so I was the money, right? So that is like a pet peeve for me because I already did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So don't even think about it. And I actually dated a guy and he gave me these beautiful pearls. Like, I'm a pearl fanatic. He gave me these beautiful pearls and I broke up with him and we were going to take a trip. So he had bought these plane tickets or something, right? And so he made me give the money back for the plane tickets. And so I took those pearls off my neck, put them in a box and mailed them. You keep your stuff. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want any of it. Right? I don't want any of it. I don't want the karma in my house. I don't want the karma in my house. Go ahead, Corda.
I am Ricky because I believe in karma. Oh my God.
I know,
I feel
karma.
that anytime a guy gives you something and it's been a bad breakup, the energy I have an ex that I'm very friendly with, but he had given me this beautiful, I'm in the sorority, as you can see in the back. this gorgeous jacket. I was like, nope, somebody take it because I'm about energy. I've had variety of gifts from, exes, and I'm like, even gorgeous, because I'm about energy. I will stage the house to get back my peace. And it's not, trying to be funky or nasty with anyone. It's about your peace. I think at a certain age, your house is your sanctuary. It's your peace. And men have to understand that if you are allowed into it, that means there's a trust, there's a respect that I'm letting you come into my peace. It's not about who makes more. It's not about me, oh, I have a house. It's not even about that. It's you're in my peace. Are you adding to my peace and filling that emotional well? Are you taking from my peace and basically sucking me dry? And you have to figure that out. And I guess, and if you're incompatible, it happens with or without cancer, but definitely having cancer, you have a lot less tolerance for foolishness. Absolutely.
Right. Your peace is non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. Yeah. Deltra, what you got?
You want stories? I'm over here agreeing about the peace thing because that is very real.
Well, all right. So tell me this.
Like
So I don't know if this was like a year ago or 2 years ago. I don't know where we were doing something, and you told me you were dating 8 guys. Was that the truth?
Ma'am. It's like, I was.
I love that so much.
I was.
I love that so much.
I tell people anyway, if you're just dating, it's like getting to know people, all of that.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned earlier, I found that I am also polyamorous. So I really deeply believe that I can love and have really meaningful, deep connections with multiple people. And so I was exploring that,
Okay.
and
I'm
then
loving it.
Yeah, that was definitely for me. But I learned that I only have so much time and energy. And eventually, in my case, I, kind of just very naturally discovered, oh, this person is who I am wanting to give it to when I have that time and that energy. Like I just naturally was kind of constantly, going back to him and spending time with him. And so it just kind of really naturally like flowed into being a relationship. So, and that works. I'm totally good with that.
That's good. That's good.
Deltra, were all the guys aware that you were dating other guys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. One, I'll say, because I was really upfront about me being polyamorous. So a couple actually were also polyamorous. But at that point in time, like in the beginning, I was like, you know what, even if I hadn't said it, I would typically assume that people would know if it's like really fresh and new that you're probably like dating, meeting multiple people off of the sites. But at some point it was like I had spent months like juggling and hanging out with all these different people. And I mean, I'm a mama of 5 with constant cancer treatment. So
Oh, girl, you go. All right. So I know. So just for the old people, okay, because there may be some other old people like me, and I do know what the word means for my children, but explain what polyamorous means.
Okay. So, and in my case, I'll go a step further because I'm solo polyamorous was how I explained it to other people. So polyamory is, I don't want people to immediately think it's like some dude with multiple wives.
That's what it sounds like.
It can be a sister husband, whatever situations, and triples and all of that. But in my case, I mean, one of the guys I was dating, he was polyamorous. He had a girlfriend, a live-in girlfriend. That's his primary partner. They had been together for 6 years. And she also had someone that she was seeing, like he was her main like nesting partners, they would call it. They lived together. And then she had a boyfriend who she would date, and they would do things that like the guy I was dating was more introverted like myself, and they would do things that like maybe he wouldn't be interested in doing, like going to a dance club or something like that. In my case, I knew because I had been married so long, this was really, like Jasmine said, I, had been in a relationship since I was really young. And it was important to me to like get to feel like I was on my own. I was finally feeling like, oh, I get to make my own decisions. I get to have my own place. And plus I have all my kids in my place. So like doctor said about protecting your peace and it being really sacred, almost sacred to like invite someone into your actual place. That was a even bigger deal for me with my children there. And for me, I just explained to people like I am polyamorous. I also am solo polyamorous. So that means that I'm my own primary partner. So I could be dating
I love that.
people and yeah, so I could be dating people and I don't need to like ask permission or get input about who I'm dating. And they often would not know each other. In some polyamorous situations, they get to know each other. Like they may act and all of that. And I wasn't interested in doing that at that point. It was just, that was kind of my boundary. And for me, it was important to like, I wanted to date, I wanted to have partnerships, I wanted to have relationships that meant a lot to me. And I mean, I have teenagers, so they were quite aware of what I was doing. And how I explained it to them in pretty simple terms was like how I have really amazing friendships that mean a lot to me. And maybe when I hang out with one of my best friends, I'm almost like a little bit different of a person, like they bring out a different side of me and I value it. I'm a friend that like maybe we would never go to a club. She wouldn't be about that life, but we would go to like a bookstore and have a tea room or something like that. And, that relationship means a lot to me. I value it deeply and I love her to death. And then when I'm with my other girlfriend, I also feel the same way about her. And it's like no competition, and how I feel about her doesn't like at all negate how or take away from or lessen the value of my other best friend. And so that was how I explained it to my teens as far as what it was like for me dating these people. But as I said, eventually it just kind of really naturally, and it scared me because I was like, I don't want to give up no part of my independence that I worked so hard for.
No, I
And
know.
so it
Worked hard
still
for
looks really different from I guess traditional relationship, and we have our own boundaries. And I just got part of it was sticking with my boundaries and not settling and being really honest about who I was and what I was looking for. And the other part of it was just pure luck because the guy I'm with, we just agree on so much. Like we both were very big on like, I don't want to live with nobody again. Love you, let's hang out, and then like go back to your places or like, I don't really have an interest in marriage again. But that's just me and my personality type. I mean, I never was a big marriage person. I just happened to do that when I was young. So
And now who
Yeah.
wants to get married? Who wants to get married?
you do. And I want to be there, man. So you know how to do it. I will be there. I love weddings. I'll be there for other people.
I know it took me a lot to get there.
Yeah.
It took you a lot mentally to get there, Ricky, to like be open to doing marriage again.
30 years. Well, Sin got me beat with 40 years, but yeah, just because I don't know. And even now we don't live together. We've been engaged in September, but I'm not moving out of my house. Like we haven't really figured out how to do it because I don't know how to do it. So I'm cool with how it is right now.
I think you
So I said,
get,
I'm open to marriage, but I just really started maybe thinking that way. At first I was like, I just want a monogamous relationship with somebody who I'm in touch with spiritually and socially and physically, and we got chemistry, just certain things like that, and just be fine with how you talking about, Ricky, with just you got your place, I got my place, and when we do things together, we do things together at whose ever place it is. But I'm open if everything is synced up, if all the stars align, I'm okay with getting married again. But my main thing is just having a monogamous person that I can really hang out with, do things with, enjoy life with, and can help me out. I'm looking for somebody to help me out instead. Don't be looking for me to help you out. I'm looking for you to provide, protect, and defend.
Right.
Yeah. So.
I think I mean, I've never been married, so, but I think I like the idea of marriage. I have good examples. Again, old school is not the same as new school. My parents have been married for 50 plus years. I do have other friends in my age group and younger who are in beautiful, successful relationships. So for me, marriage is about partnership and, bringing two people together and say, what are we doing next? How do we move? How do we flow? Whether we're traveling, sitting home, watching a movie, how do we as a couple flow and still maintain some independence of the things that we used to do, but, knowing that we have each other's back.
I hear that. And I just go back to what Trish said earlier, because I always make notes when I do webinars because in my brain, I'll forget stuff. But I think this idea of like keeping your peace in the space where I start to discover who I was, loving who I am, and then also finding peace in my own company. I'd be talking to God like, hey, we don't speed this up. I don't know if I'm gonna be at a space where I can be like, come into my house and like, because I start to enjoy my space, right?
So hard. I know. I love my house. I love my peace in my house.
And I think for me, from my faith perspective, I think now, even though like I aspire to marry again, I've been really going, God, like, but for what? Because it's not just about companionship. It should be bigger than that. I don't think anything was wrong with the institution of marriage. I think I didn't choose the right person to be married to. And that's how that fell apart. And I think now that I'm really starting to explore, like, what do I actually need in a partner and a husband? But then like, not just what I need in them, but why do I need a husband? Like, because it's got to be more than like about, because to your point, ladies, like you can just have a good friend. You just have somebody to hang with. So I think for me, it's really been about like, okay, God, like I want this, but like, for what? For why? Tell me why. Like, what's the purpose of this union? Because it should be about, to your point, Dr. How do you say Dakota?
Dakota. You can call me Dakota. I'm a patient.
But I think to your point that it is about, for me, it's about partnership and it's about building something more than what I could do on my own in my singleness.
Exactly.
I'm powerful on my own, right? It's gotta add, it's gotta double up to something else.
We're all badasses, okay? So like, what can you do to build on my badassness, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Now,
right.
I'm curious, Ricky, like, because I think one of the things I struggled with in being married is that once I started, I realized this recently, I started For the Breast of Us the same year that I got my separation, I went to separation. And one of the things I noticed is the more traction I started getting in that, the more intimidated my ex-husband got. The more competitive our relationship became, and he just could not support anything that I did. And I think leaving that kind of maybe this feeling like, oh, maybe I'm too much, or like I want too much. And coming out of that, I still think through now, for you being a powerful woman, like to your point, everyone here is powerful. How do you navigate that dynamic? Because I think it took me a minute to realize there wasn't anything wrong with me. It was the men. Like, if I'm not doing anything to intimidate, you may be intimidated, but that doesn't mean I'm intimidating, right? So for you guys being like powerful powerhouse women, how has that dynamic been for you?
Trish, what you got? You answer that one.
Ricky, you go first. I'll take it second.
Well, Doc, you go. I need time to think.
Yeah, go, Doc. Go, Cornell. You go.
I think, okay, so I definitely that doctor word, I think, intimidates those who are intimidated by it. Because I've never been that person like, you need to come and pick me up in the Benz and I've never been that person, okay? And people automatically assume, like, I got student loans. I'm not balling like how people interpret or in their mind have some presumption of who I am. I think I'm very down to earth. I have a lot of friends. Ricky knows that I hang tough. And I have great guy friends, and I'm the person who will be there for my friends no matter what. And I extend that clearly if I have a friend and extend it to my relationship. And so I always feel like, obviously I public speak, I'm a doctor. What I do is not who I am. I have so many more layers to me than that. So that just puts me in a box, which I don't like to be defined by. Number one. And because what I do doesn't mean you have to do it. I just need you to support it and be like, that's my lady, that's my woman, yay. Doesn't mean you have to also be in that spotlight if you don't choose. And then again, there's some men who are like, I want to help you along your journey. I'm all for the collaboration at all times, but I think that the person has to be comfortable in where they fit in comfortably without thinking they have to put on a persona of who they are versus who they really aren't.
Absolutely. I co-sign that message.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. What you said, times two. But I think, listen, I there are so many other things that are unsaid in trying to navigate dating in this. I mean, there's cancer, right? Which is a big thing, but as a Black capital B woman, like it's difficult. You're in the swipe sites. If you are in any of the swipes, there are studies, there are reports, there are articles and journals about how Black women, women of color, but Black women specifically, don't get love on these sites. A lot of people swipe left on Black women, right? That's one bucket. Then you start getting, when you're getting a little longer in the tooth, a little more seasoned, you know, people are ready to put you out to pasture because, you know, you're 35 plus or you're 40 plus. So it's hard navigating those
60
spaces.
plus.
Oh, but you already landed someone. You're out of this, Ricky. But anyway. No, but I mean, like, it's difficult. So that introducing cancer, having standards where you live, like, it's been difficult for me to navigate. And I've gone so far as told friends, I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm blaming y'all because I need you to fan out, look in your address books and bring me suitors. Bring something to the table. And I heard you, doctor, said you have guy friends. So we'll be talking after this call.
And y'all are
Okay,
close together too. Well, you know what though?
it's difficult.
I had to stop dating. I had to stop. I'm done. To find my prince. Like I just stopped. I'm not going to date anymore. I'm just going to go hang out with my girls. And that's when the magic happened. But I stopped thinking about it. I stopped doing it. I just started hanging out with my girls. And you know, you all know I love to dance. I would just go dancing with my girls. And that's how, but I had to just like put it on the shelf and say, it's gonna go away now. And let it go. And I let God take control of it. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Right.
But you guys, wait, we got a question. This is a good one. We have a bunch of stuff going on in the chat here, but
Oh,
there's one about our bodies. Are we or were we nervous about our scars and intimacy with these, you know, well, my little fake boobs are bigger than the ones that try to kill me, but.
I definitely want to take that one, Ricky, 100%.
Yeah, go.
I, especially being a doctor, I was in my mind, okay? In my mind, because I can see everything. I understood implants, which I didn't get. I had a lumpectomy. I was HER2 positive, ER, PR, weekly positive, stage 2. So I had areola incision or around the nipple, and I had my tumor taken out. And I also had a fibroadenoma, which is a non-cancerous mass, taken out the other one. So my plastic surgeon was amazing. He was like, I can bring fat this way and fat here. I'm like, okay, take it all, you know? But because I can see it, I'm probably more critical than the man was. And I realized that, like, they really didn't, you know, nobody's really cared, you know what I mean? Which has been kind of ironic because I'm like, I see stuff, and when I believe when a man is really attracted to you, he's not seeing those imperfections. You're seeing those imperfections. And I can see them, you know, my doctor, as you know, as all of our doctors check us and, you know, look at our scars and this and that, but it was all in my mind. Once I let go, I really enjoyed myself, needless to say.
I think
Anybody
for me, because I was still married when I had my bilateral mastectomy. And so it was trying to gauge what my ex-husband's comfort level was with the new body. I think coming out of divorce is when I probably went through more of an exhibitionist. It's like now that I was like naked, I was a little bit more free in like what I wore and all that stuff. Because I think that was me trying to be like, let me just put it on display so I don't have to explain it, right? Like if it's already out there, then we don't have to have the conversation. And I think now I'm in a space where I'm just kind of like, you know, it is what it is. I think, and this is what I thought of when Trish talked about being lonely early, because I think I did go through a space, both getting divorced after cancer, and then now having to enter the dating world. I think like at 30, no kids, ambitious, all these things, like now I have no nipples, I got extra scars, and you know what I mean? All these different things. I think for a little while, I started to feel like those things were disqualifiers from good men, because I think that's what the world tells us. The world tells us you have to have a certain body, you have to be a certain age, and to do all these things. And I've been like kind of journaling, like video journaling on like social media, my process with God this year, and the process of undoing those beliefs, right? And one of those things that God really showed me, and I looked at Ruth, we talk about Ruth and Boaz and all of that, and I didn't see the love story. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see the love story. But what I did see is that a good woman can recognize a good woman. A good man can recognize a good woman, period, right? And so like, there is nothing about our bodies, about our situations that disqualifies us from God's goodness. And I think we just have to remember that and really anchor ourselves in that, because now I don't feel as embarrassed or ashamed. I feel like, this is just how I am and who I am. And that's just part of the deal.
That's who we are. And
Well, I
we're-
too am a double mastectomy breast cancer survivor. Mine was a result of failed reconstruction, so I have a lot of scars. I started on the online dating process, and I didn't tell that I was a double mastectomy breast cancer survivor. And one guy I met, when he saw me, it was like, okay, all right, nope, I can't do that. I can't do the no breast thing. And which I was like, okay, cool. I had talked to other men just in conversation, and they, he's like, look, if I was single, you and I could get together, and, breast ain't the whole thing. So, and then, with the guy that I was in the relationship for over a year, it never was an issue with him. He's, when he saw me, he said, I knew you had no breast. He said, I knew you had no breast. He said, then I looked at your Adam's apple to make sure. I mean, I'm being honest, right? I'm being transparent. He said to make sure that you were a woman. And, and I saw that you were all woman.
Wow.
And, and he said that, I was attracted to you, and it was never a thing with him. But it can be, like I said, with the guy that just went, after talking on the telephone, we decided to meet. And when he saw me, I had no breasts. It was like, no, I make too much money for this. So I can have somebody. I was dating younger women. Yeah. So, I mean, he didn't say that, but it was like that. You could, I don't know. I think I can like pick up on different people's mental thing just by looking at them. I can basically tell what they're thinking, so but yeah, so it could go either way. Like you said, a good man will know a good woman, but there are also men that feel like, hey, I need a trophy person on my arm. I need
a
somebody
Barbie
that
doll. I need a Barbie doll, right?
yeah,
Barbie doll.
Barbie doll, yes.
I don't think that, like, for me, I number one, because I was open about my journey when I started talks with Dr. D, and number two, I'm a doctor. So, and my number three, the name Dr. Cordai Dakota, you can't hide from when people look me up on social media. So I know that for the two boyfriends that I had during, post cancer into now, they knew, and I wasn't going to keep it a secret. Anybody who asked me, I was like, yes, I went through breast cancer, because I have an advocacy. And I don't want you to come later and say you didn't tell me. I want you to know up front, you know exactly what you're getting, okay? And, it didn't stop them from dating me. Again, for me, a lot of stuff was in my mind and how I felt, and I was still going through. I didn't start therapy until I started dating in 2021, because with breast cancer and COVID and trying to be a doctor, there was no room and space, I felt, for me to really grieve the way I probably needed to grieve and deal with it. So, once I got out of my mind and had the positive reinforcement, then I was like, okay, as you said, bad B, let's go.
Wow.
I
I don't like to
that-
say like, I'm grateful for I don't like to use that expression, but sometimes you build relationships, whether it's friendships or relationships with people, and it takes something happening for you to learn what that person is made of, what kind of stock they're made of, right? And so
Yeah.
what I will say I'm grateful for is having this reverse Uno card, or whatever you want to do, that I can just throw down there in the middle, in the beginning, that'll just suss out who you can continue the journey with, right? Like, let me know right up front that you're a trash, garbage person. That way I haven't built with you, right? And invested time, energy, and start having hope about a future that will never be. Like, you peace
Right.
out nice and early, and then you can make room for the person that you really are waiting for. So I'm grateful to be able to get it out early, know, and then move on with my life if it doesn't work out.
I
Oh,
agree. And
I
think
said that I was a breast cancer survivor, but I just didn't feel like, if we weren't going to meet, just to say, oh, by the way, I don't have any breasts. I felt like that was an opportunity when we meet, but after his reaction, I just say, look, I'm a two-time breast cancer survivor, and now I'm a double mastectomy breast cancer survivor, and I don't have breasts, so boom, it's up front. But yeah, exactly, boom, up front.
And I will say, Trish, like, I think there's also, I think so I'm 32, I'll be 33 this year. I'm open to having kids. I definitely want to be remarried, but I think there's also like, there's some personal reconciliation I have to do with the fact that the ordinary women have not gone through these things by the time that they are 32.
Right,
And,
hello.
and ordinary women don't do the kind of things that I've been allowed to do and I want to do. Ordinary women don't have the calling. So if I'm not ordinary, I must be extraordinary. And I think to the point that you had earlier, Sin, like, in my mind, recognizing that I am not ordinary, it is, to Trisha's point, it is a win when the ordinary men can't handle it. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, extraordinary sees extraordinary, real recognizes real. So if you can, I remember I did have this guy that he said something like he didn't have a problem with women with deformities. And I was like,
What?
I'm
What?
not deformed. I don't see any deformity.
Wow. Woo.
So yes, to Trisha's point, like, you let the ordinary weed themselves out so the extraordinary can find you.
Yep, definitely. Okay, we got another
I
question.
like that. I
I
like
love that.
that. We need to write that. I like that.
Right. Put in the comments, what are we gonna weed out the ordinary so the extraordinary can find? I'm gonna put that in the chat. All right, so
Yeah,
here's
I
a
like
question from the chat. Was it hard to leave someone who was there for you during your cancer? It just feels kind of sucky. I don't know if any of us had that supported us.
Define there for you.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Well, I did feel some kind of way. It's a whole story behind all of that, because my ex-husband did, care for me with the giving me my meds around the clock, and helping me with the drains, and then I ended up getting a wound infection, and he was packing and all that, but I still, he's very caring. He just wasn't loving enough. And that's something that I needed. And that's what I decided that was more important to me, that I wanted more love into my life, because my husband he never stayed with me with any of my chemo treatments. He went to my last one because I said, look, this is my last treatment. Can you come? But I shouldn't have to ask,
Yeah,
so I see what the comment is saying. You feel kind of sucky, but you're not seeing the entire picture. So, like I said, my entire picture is, it's a whole book story in itself. So, but, I just decided, like, hey, I'm at that time, let's see, I think I was 62. I was 62, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get, I had triple negative, didn't know if it was going to come back. And because it was like, what, 40% chance of it returning within,
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanna be a free fly girl for a while. I want to see, because I got married right out of, I went to high school, went to college, and got married right out of college.
Yeah.
So I never really, like you said, dated, so I'm like, I want to spread my wings a little bit, and I want to see if there's really a truer love for me. So, but yeah, it does seem kind of sucky when you leave somebody after they care for you. But my ex-husband and I we're still friends. We're friends. We got a daughter, we have a granddaughter, and we will always be connected. And I will always, if there's anything he needs, I will always be there. If there's anything I need, we just know that right now, my mission, my purpose, my desire in life is different at this point. And my mother knew it. My mother told me when I got married, she was like, he's a good guy, but he slows you down. He holds you back. And she was trying to tell me at that particular time that she didn't think that it would work. But I was like, oh, I could deal with that. I could deal with that. I could deal with that. And I dealt with everything for 40 years. And I feel like, hey, I gave him 40 good years, for the most part. It was some things that were missing. I helped take care of his mom. I helped take care of his nephew. I have a whole story, which I'm sure everybody does. But yeah, it is kind of sucky, in some aspects, but you got to know the whole story and not just this little slice of the pie.
Wow.
I think that people think that too, but the reverse about what about when somebody leaves you during cancer? Like when I was diagnosed, literally the day I was diagnosed, I had an ex that we kept going back and forth, and I was like, listen, I'm diagnosed. We could be friends. And he was like, no, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm in the medical field. I'm like, all right, and I was like, no, it's okay. It's a journey. And he was insistent. And sure enough, I started chemo, and he's supposed to come around during the holidays, and it was excuses. And I got a Dear Jane text while I was going through a banana bag because I was so sick after my first chemo, saying, I don't think we're quite compatible, but I think we could be friends, and I can be there if you really need me. And I was like, wait, what? And it was very traumatic for me at that time, and but it's funny because karma is something, and of course they all come back, and I wanted nothing to do with them because I'm like, people show who they are through your greatest trials. I've had people that I was friends with who became angels, where I was just like in shock of all the love I got, and other people I was close to who basically was like, I don't know really to say to you, and I'm like, I'm still the same person. Nothing, and I might grow and and be even better, but I'm still the same person. So that happens too, where the people, as you said, can't get it. They're not strong enough, and they just bail. And you grow and you learn.
Yeah. Well, I say love is a verb.
Absolutely.
You can talk and talk and talk and talk all the talk. But to me, if I don't see the behavior, then it doesn't count.
In fact, I think in that scenario, Ricky, to that question, I was one of those people where my husband was physically present most of the time, not even all of the time, most of the time. It was my mom while I'm married who was doing like most of the caregiving and things of that nature. And I think honestly, it's even worse to be with someone who is emotionally absent and physically present is a lot harder than to be with someone that's physically absent. Because at least if they're physically absent, then like you're not counting on them for anything, right? Like you just know that they're not there.
Right.
But I think for me, like it was, so I think to the point that the ladies have made already is it was not, it's more like it just kind of showed me that it wasn't a good fit, if nothing else. The fact that they were there, but they didn't show up the way that I needed them to throughout the process.
I know my husband, really, my little fake boobs are bigger than the one tried to kill me. I was really flat chested. So my husband said one day, well, gosh, you have boobs now. Doesn't that feel great? I said, well, frankly, not having cancer feels better. Like he didn't even for that. So I don't know. So somebody put in the chat too, is there a dating app for cancer patients or cancer survivors? I wonder. That sounds like a business opportunity, ladies. But I dated a guy for like a month or so who had just come out of lymphoma, and he was just finished his treatment, and it was like early stage. It wasn't bad, but he had to do chemo, and after like the third day, he's like, Ricky, all you talk about is cancer. I want to talk about cancer. I'm like, this is my life. And you know what? I know my purpose is to talk about cancer. So see you, bye. But I think, and we still kind of have a friendship, but he just wasn't ready to deal with the emotionalness of his cancer. He was still in mourning, right? Probably still mad and in mourning. And to me, like, I couldn't make an hour probably without talking about cancer, which is crazy, but this is my purpose, right?
Yeah. Ricky, I have had the thought too, like when I first started going on dating apps, I was like, man, it'd be so cool if there was one like Cancery Cupid or something like I was like, that would be good.
Opportunity,
then I wouldn't have to explain anything, like they would just get it. But eventually I actually got to a place where I was like, especially I think when you live with it constantly, which I do feel now, like everyone does, even if you're early stage, or like once you're like a survivor, you're still like in,
Oh, yeah,
like once
doesn't
you're
go
in the
away, doesn't go away.
you know. But I also was like, especially being involved with advocacy and everything, like so much of my day-to-day involves cancer, that I was like, I actually feel relief. I felt relief for my relationships to not be. When I was, you know, dating and everything, I really wanted to focus on using that time and energy like I was just any single mama. Like my mama got my kids, I'm about to just turn up and have fun. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to feel fun and free.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm a very open book person. So sometimes I started noticing it was hard for me because I didn't want to go more than very surface level. Like I just wanted to be fun. But then, you know, now me and my boyfriend talk about it, that once I started really sharing about my diagnosis, he understood better, because there were times where like I didn't feel good, but I just tried to hide it. Or I would be like, you know, oh, I'm not feeling good, so can't hang out. And he didn't understand what was going on and thought maybe like I wasn't actually interested in him. And I was like blowing him off for a couple weeks in a row, when really it was like, dude, I just have chemo and don't feel good. But I was trying really hard, because I'm always telling my friends like, hey, your diagnosis doesn't define you. And while I still very much think that's true, and yes, I'm still me, the me I always was, a even better version of me. I can't pretend that cancer is not a big part of my life, though. You know, I do still try to like keep it in some ways on a back burner as much as I can. Like I have no desire for cancer to be like super involved in my relationship or like a big topic. We kind of just feel like a normal couple overall. And another thing was, and my boyfriend has said this too, as far as like, because I mean, I'm a single mom, so I have kids. So a lot of people come in thinking like, oh, well, do I want to be like a stepdad or something, you know? And I was very much like, oh, I'm not. He was like, I was never giving off the energy of like, I'm looking for a daddy for my kids, you know, and I'm looking for a caregiver for myself. And so that played a huge role in why like we got to where we're at. It just very naturally happened that like he just has the kind of heart that I didn't ask him to show up for me, I guess, but he did. And people I think will do that naturally when they care. They just want to be involved in like, how can I help? But for me, I just felt like I have so much support around me already. My cancer friends get it. And so that's who I want to be talking to about cancer. I have great family, luckily, and I have just amazing support around me. So I just felt like I didn't want to really put that on the people I was dating. I was very clear, like I don't think about things like dying alone, because I know I'm not dying alone. I have too many people who love me to where I would, you know, if I put all the pressure on like I have to have a romantic partner, then yes, I would probably feel like I was going to die alone. But ultimately, I was just like, yeah, I just want to keep sick or cancer Deltra away from my relationships as much as I could, I guess. I was like, I just want to be fun Deltra. I want to be free Deltra. And when it came to like me, you know, if I was having really bad days or feeling sick, I just didn't want people to see me like that. I was kind of like, you know, that's when I cancel dates and I like hang out with my mama. But and I think that was and I think that was okay. And to some degree, I will say that I would still want that. Like there is a lot of vulnerability in my relationship, and I love and appreciate that. And it's so much more than I ever could have imagined. Like we were talking about scars and bald heads and all of that. And I'm and have always been pretty comfortable in my body person. So there's that going for me. But also my guy, he's like a bald head kisser and all those things, and scar kisser. I think that someone, and I know it's true for women, like when you love someone, their scars are just sexy. You know, we all know that scars are a part of people's story, you know, so how can you not feel like they're not beautiful? But yeah, for me, I think it's okay to have times where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna just let dating be fun, at least in the beginning. And you just want to show up as you, not maybe cancer you as much as possible. But if anything is gonna get deeper, then you really kind of, you know, it's like it doesn't define us, but it definitely is, it is a big part of our lives and will be. So
You know what though, you guys, the breasty love thing is so real. And, you know, I love all of you so much, but I think that, and I have so many friends and they all take care of me and they've all been in my life for years. You know, my best friend from childhood is still my best friend, my college roommate. But I think that because of what we share with each other, we're an outlet for each other. And I think that when we really need to talk about cancer, we call a breastie. You know, I call one of you guys, it's like, we don't need, it's almost like you don't need to talk about it with somebody else when I can talk about it with you and I don't have to talk. Right? Like I can call you and say, I really feel sick today. Like this chemo is kicking my ass, right? Like I think that I think we can almost separate those conversations from other people because we have each other, which it's so hard to describe it, right? It's so hard to describe it because, you know, we all have people that we love and other women that we love, but it's like this thing that we have that is so special that it's an intimacy, right? That we share with each other, even the women that we just met yesterday, right? And you just want to hug them and take them in like, how can I help you, sweetie? You know, like, I think that almost helps us not have to talk about it with everybody else. Right?
I have I have a good friend who was recently diagnosed, and now I'm on the other end. And you know, I was explaining to her boyfriend, these are things, you know, she may go through, and this and it. And it's different, even though she has a great core of us around her. We share something that's an intimate thing because yes, I've been through it. You know, she has some of my same doctors and what have you. And so all I want to do is make sure she gets the best out of everything. Any little thing that I didn't know or now know, I'm like, wait a minute, don't do, hold on, let's mimic, you know. And it's a club where you do, whether even I've had guy friends who've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it's a club that you don't want to be into, a fraternity, sorority, I like to say, where it's a comfort to say, okay, I can talk to you, get it. You're not going to be like, what's that? Oh, I'm grossed out. They're just not, because it's like, yeah, girl, I did that. Or I had that experience. Oh yeah, you too with radiation, you know. And that's where we are, you know.
Yeah.
I think that kind of speaks to what Deltra was saying earlier as she was explaining her experiences with polyamory, this idea that you don't have to have all things wrapped up in one person, right?
Right.
I think this is looking at, you want someone that's compassionate, right? It's someone that's going to care for you, someone that's understanding, but also with an understanding that there's something they just can't understand.
Right. Right. That's a good way to put it. So we have one more question. Almost time to go. Oh, gosh. Did your standards change in your mate after your cancer journey? All the way, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What did we talk about that foundation, Delta? Once you realize, like, for me, after my divorce, I did not. I think it was funny because my friends were like, you should go wild. And I was like, nah, we gonna sit and we gonna figure out why we chose that man. We gonna sit and figure out why we made that decision. It really was like recognizing how many things I ignored that if I would have acknowledged before I got married, I would not have countered in that marriage when I got divorced or when things were going bad. So absolutely, I think it raised my standards, which is interesting because I think there's a part of this, like I talked about earlier, about feeling like maybe disqualified. But I think it absolutely raised the standard because I recognized that this is not for the weak. Even as an early stager, I know my family history and I don't claim anything that has not yet happened to me, but I just understand that breast cancer is a part of my life by my personal experience with it and by my advocacy. And so that whatever man that I'm with has to be able to handle that. And he has to be able to handle the purpose of my life and other things I'm being called to do. So I recognize that I didn't know, I was 23 when I got married. I wasn't looking for those things when I was 23, but I'm looking for that now. Absolutely.
I know. So on our second date, I took Nate, it was October. So, you know, I had stuff to do every day, right? So I had to go speak at this black tie and I said, and literally was our second date. I'm like, well, do you want to go to a black tie with me? Like you have to wear a tux and stuff. Is that okay? And I didn't realize what a diva he is, but at the time I didn't know that. But so he showed up at this, he showed up at this party with like a pink jacket and like a pink tie and all the pink. And I thought it's almost a breast cancer event, but like, I was like, okay, he gets it. But I mean, it was just really cool that he showed up all dressed in pink, you know, like for this pink thing. So he like totally jumped into my world of like.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but I think it's just, you gotta wait for God. God's in control of this, you guys, as everything we do. Right. And I think also like, there is something about finding ourselves and being alone and getting into our own heads and getting into our own bodies and our own space as we deal with this craziness, right? And it's, you know. So Miss Pearl is commenting all the way here. My friend, Miss Pearl in Chicago. She lost her husband. She was married a long time when she had breast cancer. She got breast cancer very young too, but she said, Jasmine, God has something special for you. Continue to live and walk in your purpose, and true femininity will attract. Will attract. So
Thank you. I received
Miss
that.
Pearl's comments, yeah, in the comments. So she's been talking through the whole show. Thank you, Miss Pearl. We love you. But yeah, I think we need a part 2. I don't think we're done yet. Are we done?
Nope.
Do it again.
We gotta do it again. We gotta
Sounds
do
great.
It's a big subject. It's a big subject.
It's a big subject, it's a big topic. It's and you know what? It's way bigger than dating. It's just our lives,
It is.
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Exactly. It is. Ultimately, I would say it's about, I mean, when you talked about standards changing, I just kind of came from a perspective like, what are my standards for friends? Like, I need people
Yes.
who show
Yes.
up, who are consistent and loving, and who have, empathy and compassion. Like, those were kind of my biggest things as far as, and that goes for anyone that I'm willing, to have in my life. Like you said, like, we have very low tolerance now. And I found that extends, beyond like romantic partners. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we gotta talk again, but thank you for hanging out with me today. And
Thank you for having me.
and
Thank you for the
if
invite.
if you want to reach any of these beauties and any men out there, if you're watching, and any women you could pass the episodes to, I know,
Trish is
to
like,
men to look at these beauties, bring it.
Reveal yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bring
only
it.
if you're extraordinary. We don't want
Only
the
if you're
ordinary.
extraordinary. We want the extraordinary. We want the extraordinary, and we're just gonna pray about it and keep living our lives, and then the angel will get dropped on us, and we'll all be good. So
Yes.
love you guys so much. And if anybody wants to reach these beauties, reach me, Ricky at touchbbca.org. I will find them for you. I know where to find them, and we will do this in a couple months. We'll do it again because Mo missed this. She would love this conversation.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we gotta have this conversation with Mo. All right, you guys.
To be continued.
Continue.
Absolutely.
Breasty love. Breasty love. Love you, love you. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.